Hello and welcome to the Nerds Now Playing podcast, the podcast where we talk about all things nerdy, including movies, video games, and entertainment in general. This is recorded in the Feely Podcast studio here in Salina, Kansas, from Feely Creative. I'm your host, Tim, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Devin. Devin, how are you today?
I am still well.
That's
For no
fantastic.
reason.
That's awesome. And with us today, we also have a guest again, making her second appearance on our podcast, Sydney Rich. Sydney, welcome back. Well, so today we're kind of not, I'm not going to say switching gears per se, because we are still, talking about it. We're still doing a movie review, but we are talking about something that is, I'm not going to say necessarily out of our wheelhouse, but it is, we're going to talk about RomComs today. I don't know about you both. I haven't watched like a lot of RomComs, but today, so it was suggested by one of our viewers, or at least one of my theater friends, that we do a RomCom, and specifically mentioned in a list that was given to me is the movie we're reviewing today, which is She's the Man, starring Amanda Bynes from 2006. So I guess I want to start things off. What is your guys' relationship with RomComs?
I like. So I don't mind rom-coms. I have a hard time with like the adult rom-coms because I have two categories of rom-coms: the teenage, like Hilary Duff, Amanda Bynes, like all those, and then I have the adult ones. And the adult ones are just like, that's not reality. That's not even remotely close to reality. Like you,
as opposed to the teenage ones, which are based in reality.
Yeah, fully. Duh. Every teenager goes through all of those experiences. Come on. But like, it's like as an adult, you just get into the like, oh, you like are a maid. There's no way you're affording that apartment that you're living in. Like, that's not even remotely possible.
I mean, unless they're doing maid service for other people.
Well, I mean, I'm not picking up what you're throwing down.
Well,
meaning unless they do, like, are they a live-in maid, or like do they work for other people? Because
they work for other people and then have their own house.
They could be getting some big bucks. I mean, they might be doing stuff for rich people. In that case, they could afford it.
Well, Tim? I don't.
I'm gonna throw logic at you.
There are some movies that where we're talking about teen romantic comedies. It seems like the adults don't exist in that world. It is focused on the kids, and sometimes they do have like.
If they do have adults, they're weird.
Oh yeah,
especially in the movie we're about to review.
Yes,
there's some 100%. There's some weirdies in that, but
very much so.
I think I get what Sydney is saying and what you're maybe trying to say, but
I don't know. So I like a good rom-com as well. Like I mean I grew up watching a lot of the Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan ones. So like in particular, I really still enjoy You've Got Mail, which is kind of like the height of them together on screen. That's one, like, it's a personal favorite of my mom, and so like I actually have a little tradition when I move into a new place. That's one of the first movies I watch because it reminds me of home and it reminds me of my family. And so like I just really enjoy that movie. I like Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan's chemistry together. I like the music that's in it. So I like that one. And I've seen like When Harry Met Sally and Sleepless in Seattle, and I mean I've seen some other ones, but I don't necessarily seek them out. Unless like someone, like if it's presented to me, like say, hey, like if someone recommends a movie to me, I will likely watch it. Or if the synopsis sounds interesting to me, then I'll watch it. But I don't know, like especially like when it comes to like teen rom-coms, I like at this point in my life, as someone who is into their 30s, I no longer identify with that age group. I don't know if I identified with them when I was there.
I think I just love the idea of never leaving high school because I just enjoyed high school so much, especially like my junior and senior year.
See, that's where we're different. I did not care for high school.
I loved high school.
Well, you should still watch She's All That. That was a rom-com that I remember.
Who's in that one?
Who was in it? Oh gosh, people.
Freddie Prinze.
Oh yes, that's right. Freddie Prinze Jr.
Okay. Yeah, Freddie Prinze Jr.
Not senior.
And Rachel Lee Cook.
I'm not sure if I know. I've probably seen her, but
and Paul Walker.
Oh yeah, and Before Dead Times.
Oh God.
Sorry to fans of Paul Walker. I'm not big into Fast and Furious, so I don't have a connection.
Well, they
to
just
him.
Released like their 8 millionth movie.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I have
This
not
past
seen.
weekend,
I
I
have not
think.
seen any of them, and I don't.
Really? Well, what the
I've only
heck?
seen the first, I think, 8.
Oh, I'm partly deterred from that series because in high school, somebody was given a report. Like we had to each give a report on like a movie or like or some subject, and one guy chose the Fast and Furious movie, and like his ending argument was, "If you like fast cars and hot women, then you'll love these movies." And I'm like, that shut me off permanently to that because I'm like, I don't care really that much about either of those. Like cars. I don't really care about. Physical attractiveness is not really that much of
Lukewarm
a
on hot
factor.
women.
Like
Or hot women.
I prefer personality. Like physical beauty is like that does not stay there. That's going to fade. So if their personality is crap, then
What's
I'm
funny
not
is
that
that
interested.
You just keep digging yourself out of this hole, man.
what's funny is in the movie we're going to review, she's the man. They make a line. Amanda Bynes' character talks about her sister having a good personality to the guys, and they're
Oh,
like,
yeah, I do remember
They're
that.
like,
gross.
oh.
They're like, good, gross.
There are more things in life that matter than the physical.
Not to these guys.
Well,
These guys,
those are stereotypical guys.
but they
guys,
were,
though.
according to Amanda Bynes' character, that they're hot. These are hot guys.
It's true.
So they know what they're talking about.
So I don't know. Like Devin, what is your relationship to rom-coms? Like, do you watch a lot of them?
Well, I was looking up some. I was looking up rom-coms to just jog my memory on some of them, and there's several in here that I do like a lot, but I have seen a lot of what I think we would consider classic rom-coms. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. I don't like anything with those movies with Matthew McConaughey, and I've seen a lot of for some reason, like The Wedding Planner. I've seen Gold Rush. Was that this movie? No, Fool's Gold.
I was gonna say
Fool's
Gold Rush is a
Gold.
Charlie Chaplin film.
Yeah.
and a TV series, I guess. But Fool's Gold, I've seen. I didn't think that one was as good, but
I'm not familiar with that one.
That has
Google that one.
that has. I think it's called Fool's Gold.
It is.
Has Matthew McConaughey and Kate
Oh.
Hudson.
Hmm.
I think in there.
Yeah, Kate Hudson.
I guess I have seen. I have seen some that like. I guess nowadays they'd probably be lumped into the rom-com genre. I don't know if it was considered rom-com at the time, but like some of those early like movies from the 50s. Like Roman Holiday is a Katharine Hepburn Audrey Hepburn and Cary Grant movie. And that one, like there's a romance is a major plot of that. So I think that one's technically considered to be a rom-com by today's standards. And there's other ones like His Girl Friday, which there's kind of a romantic thing. So I don't know. Like I
think there's a style of romantic comedy that I don't necessarily gravitate towards the one that we're going to review today, but it had She's the Man and some of those other types of movies. They have that kind of a style that, regardless of the age of the characters, I think. But there wasn't, like, I was looking through the list of some of the movies, and there's like some movies like Palm Springs.
was that the new one with Andy Samberg?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of like a Groundhog's Day movie.
That one looked interesting. I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh my goodness! You need to watch that. It was hilarious. Have you seen that?
No,
Sydney?
I'm just not a huge Andy Samberg fan. I'm not.
Well, I mean, I think if you aren't a fan of him, then you probably wouldn't like the movie Hot Rod. But
see, I do like Andy Samberg. What I don't care for as much is Adam Sandler.
I love Adam. I love
well,
like young Adam Sandler.
Well, watch Palm Springs. It's a good Andy Samberg film, and it's a rom-com that's also a
like at the time.
It's like a Groundhog Day.
Okay.
Basically, so he reloops his life while at a resort.
Okay. I've at least seen the trailer for this.
But how many times does he die?
There's a part where him and the love interest, who becomes later the love interest, they try to like commit suicide or something.
So are they both stuck in this together, or is it just him?
Well, he's stuck in it first, and I think this other the love interest comes into the same loop
Okay.
with him,
Huh.
and she's very upset about it with him. But yeah, but it's a pretty funny movie that has a lot of heart also
Okay.
too. But it's
I can dig that.
the movie opens in a very raunchy way that I think was super hilarious. But I when I had first saw that, okay, it's been a couple years now, and I kind of want to rewatch it again. Uh,
I will say, as far as like other movies.
I recommended it to all my parents and my family to watch it.
Oh,
I was
gotcha.
like, you have to watch this movie once you get past the first 10 minutes, which was just for my recommending to my parents. It's like there's
Well, it depends. Like, if it's like the
like
first.
sexual humor.
I was gonna say
kind of thing.
it just reminds me of the beginning of "I Love You, Philip Morris." Like I was watching that with my brother, and it just starts with aggressive butt sex.
Just
But like for a comedic effect.
okay.
That's how it
Well,
starts.
yes,
Oh
it's
my
true. It's very
gosh.
much sex.
I would say,
yes.
would you say? So we watched recently Long Shot. Would you consider that a romantic comedy?
Yeah, I would, because there's that.
I've not seen any of these movies.
That one is a.
Well, we'll just tell you to watch Palm Springs and Long Shot.
Long
So that
Shot
has-
actually is really good.
That's
I was
really hilarious
surprised
movie.
at how much I liked it.
That has Seth Rogen
Yes.
and Charlize Theron.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Yep. So Charlize Theron is the
Well, I think she's like the secretary of something.
state. I think she's Secretary of
Yes.
State, and she intends to run for president.
Correct.
In the movie, and then she does.
Yeah.
Run for president.
And Seth Rogen's character is like he was a reporter, and gets.
Charlize Theron's character way back in the day used to babysit for
That's right.
Seth Rogen, and
Okay.
he grows up to be a writer or
Mhm.
investigative journalist, and their paths cross again.
Mhm.
But then he's brought on to her team to be a writer
Yeah,
for her
yeah.
speeches to get a
Mhm.
new demographic to like her and to then also vote for her. But
It ends up being a pretty wild ride. In
probably
some
one of the
ways.
most hilarious movies I've seen in a long time. And
I'm
I think
gonna say one phrase to Devin, and he's gonna know exactly what it is. Oh boy!
yeah.
If you watch it,
Uh,
you'll get why it's funny,
That
or
one
it's funny to us. Anyway.
and that one came out in 2019.
Yeah, it's a
And
recent
so,
one.
which I'm surprised. I thought it was more recent than that, but
Mm.
I remember seeing previews for it. But probably one of the most funny movies I've seen in a while. But it does have romantic. I think it fits the bill of a romantic
Mm-hmm.
comedy. So definitely one I'd recommend checking out. In addition to Palm Springs, if you haven't seen that one already.
Fair enough. I will definitely add those to my list.
Both super funny rom-coms.
I will say for myself, like as far as like I think the reason why teen rom-coms don't really resonate with me is that like at this point, like I already mentioned it earlier, but like I feel gross seeing it now because like these are people whose prefrontal cortex is not fully like there yet. I mean it's there, but like they're not. I mean not that as a 30-year-old I make rational decisions all the time, but I don't know. There's something about like the romance side of things at that youthful stage. Trying to see it now,
Mm-hmm.
there's a disconnect for me. So
Yeah, that doesn't really bother me because I
Yeah.
know that they're adults now.
Yeah.
well, they are now, but at the time,
Well, still.
I don't know. I prefer like I don't know. There's something about like having a more realistic.
Well, maybe in some of these comedy movies, their priorities are just a little bit different. But
There's also that.
But well, I don't think Superbad's a romantic comedy. That's just them trying to get
Laid.
laid, I guess. And they just happen to get a girlfriend at the end. But it's not really based on love, I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But I do think there's other rom-coms that I think are more broad than just teen. Have you seen Crazy Rich Asians?
I have not. I saw that was on the rom-com
That
list.
is a good one.
I
The
do want to
book
say
is a lot better.
there's a book.
Yeah, it's based off of a book.
Oh, I did not know.
Yeah.
It's Crazy Literate Rich Asians. Asians.
I'll have to try and see if I can find the book.
Yeah, you should watch that movie too. It's a good
It's a good
rom-com.
one.
Okay.
I mean, it's got humor in it.
It's Michelle Yeoh's in that as well. isn't she?
Michelle
Yes.
Yeoh's in it, but
Okay.
also deals with themes of like social stature and
Yeah.
within like because it's called Crazy Rich Asians, and in that culture of that family,
Mhm.
it's just an interesting dynamic with
Mhm.
that family,
Yeah.
in that culture that they have, and it really comes out in this story of I mean, when you come from no money or you do have money, money equals power, and
Yeah,
it really means something in this film. But how the love leads in this movie navigate through that is pretty fun.
So is there like a character that's from like a lower standing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Crazy Rich Asians they built their wealth, I think, from a hotel in the
I think
movie,
so.
and I don't remember the
It's been
lead.
a long,
I don't remember
hot
the lead
minute since I've
character's
watched it.
name. Uh, the main romantic lead male in this, he's of that family, that empire that they made with the
Ah, okay.
hotels, but he's engaged to a woman who is not wealthy. She's
I
not
see.
wealthy at
So
all.
so he was
She
going for
didn't-
someone below his station.
And she didn't know, right? She didn't know he was rich. Is that if I remember correctly?
Yeah, I think I think when they first started dating in the movie,
Yeah, she had zero idea.
she didn't know. They're
Yeah.
just kind of like, was a matter of fact thing.
Yeah. And then
later on.
they got on the plane, and then it just kind of went from there. And then she started realizing, oh
Mhm.
no, what did I get into?
Yeah.
Because I think they met in the U.S. and then they went over to meet his family.
But we had watched Everything Everywhere All at Once
Oh,
recently,
yeah.
but Michelle Yeoh has a great performance in this film too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's definitely worth
great.
checking out.
I'll definitely keep that in mind. I will say one thing about like just romance in general in movies that like I prefer, and I don't know where you guys stand on this. I like it when they do something that subverts my expectations. So like I don't know if either of you saw La La Land, which is not it's not a rom-com, but there's a romantic subplot.
Oh yeah.
See, like
Yeah.
a lot of people did not like the end of that movie because they don't end up with the stereotypical like they're in a relationship now and they're happy. And I prefer that massively that they don't, because that is more realistic. Like there is a sequence where like he imagines that them together and what their life could have been, and then you cut back in and see that that's not what happened, and they both went their separate ways and they're both successful in doing what they want to do. And like I prefer that. Like
Imagine if we made movies based on the unexpected. Like then it becomes the expected. Get it? So if every rom-com ended with just utter disaster,
I'm
and
not
then you
saying they
make
all
that
want to do
one,
that.
no, and then you just make that one that ends like peacefully, and then the world's like, no, it should have ended in disaster.
or amicably. So with La La Land, is it fair to say, like, because they ended up going on their own career trajectories,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and then that, I mean, we see that in our own relationships a lot too. Like you grow
Grow apart.
different
Yeah.
places, and then
Well, I mean, we're always changing as people, so like
Yeah.
you know.
yeah. Well,
Well, I guess at that point, let's go ahead and take a quick break, and then we'll get into our actual review of She's the Man. All right, and we are back, and we're going to talk about She's the Man. This is Amanda Bynes, 2006 as the star. I'll just read the quick synopsis here real quick. So Viola Hastings, played by Bynes, is in a real jam. Complications threaten her scheme to pose as her twin brother Sebastian, played by James Kirk, and take his place in a new boarding school. She falls in love with her handsome roommate Duke, played by Channing Tatum, who loves beautiful Olivia, and who has fallen for Sebastian. As if that were not enough, Viola's twin returns from London ahead of schedule, but has no idea that his sister has already replaced him on campus.
I just like to go ahead and point out that I feel like this synopsis is not accurate to the movie.
It's hard to find ones that are totally
Yeah.
inclusive of everything. So that we'll talk about what happens
But
in
yeah,
the movie.
but I'm just saying.
well, and I think like this, I think it's pretty accurate, but this does happen over the course of the whole movie. So like,
Yeah.
when it gets to the part where she falls in love with the other person, that's, I don't know, well into the movie, maybe for me, I
I mean,
guess.
the main thing that it doesn't mention is the soccer part, which honestly takes a pretty big backseat in this movie.
Which now that you mention that, it make
It does. It takes a
she
back
went
seat.
there to not find love. She went there to prove that she, as a woman, can
Play soccer.
play soccer on
men's
the
team.
men's team.
Yeah, and that takes a massive it goes on the back burner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It doesn't come back until the end of the movie.
I guess that does.
So
You're
like
right.
I'm that was a disappointment for me in this movie. I will say one factoid about this movie before we start really getting into it. This is based off of Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. I mean,
I did not know that.
a lot of rom-com, like a lot of movies from like the 2000s did that. One of those, I think it's 10 Things I Hate About You, is based on another one of his movies. Or his plays. Movies back in the day.
Oh, it's okay. He's 500 years old. And...
It's perfect. So in that, I put a synopsis, actually, a Spark Notes link in the middle note, which I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but it basically involves, it's the romantic triangle and the disguising oneself as a different gender is a primary thing that happens in that play, because in the play, Viola, which
Shakespeare was woke.
I mean,
Do you know what that word means?
No,
no, it is too old.
nobody
for that now.
does really.
So at the time, basically, Viola and her twin, she does have a twin brother, Sebastian, in the play. There's like a shipwreck off the coast of this place called Illyria, which is what the actual name of the school is.
Oh my gosh.
And she's the man.
I'm blowing right now.
Yeah. So like the shipwreck. So she goes into town, and she was going to try and find a job with the person named Olivia, who had just recently gotten like jilted or a marriage like exploded. So she didn't want to like meet anybody new, or have like any strangers come into her life. And so Viola decides she doesn't want to work for her, and so she disguises herself as a man to work for someone else. And that, like, she starts falling in love with the guy that she's working for, and he's in love with Olivia, and there's this whole like love triangle thing, which is where like that plot comes from for this movie. And the same for like some of the side characters too. So in this movie, I mean, it's basically the same plot. So let's just get very general right now. Devin, what are your overall thoughts on this movie?
Well, when I was watching, I was like, okay, we chose this movie to review. That's interesting, but I thought it was okay. I thought like because there's a lot of parts that I was laughing a lot, probably more so than my significant other who had seen the movie before, doesn't like it. She likes another Amanda Bynes movie that came out a couple of years earlier than
Was
this
that like
one.
the super serious one?
I don't know what that would be.
The only reason I remember is because I used to watch the Amanda Bynes show or the Amanda Show when I was a kid, and I just remember like there was taking times when she got older and they were showing trailers for this like super serious Amanda Bynes movie.
I don't think this was that. I'm not sure what that.
What a Girl Wants.
Yes. Yeah.
That might be a different
About that one.
I'm not sure.
Which I also have not seen, but anyway, I thought this movie was pretty funny. I liked the setup of it. Well, first of all, one of the things I kept thinking about when watching this is how somehow relevant the conversation is on gender.
Oh,
it
and like gender
somehow
equality?
is while watching this, and this movie came out 2006.
Yep.
And so it's interesting to me that this movie came out in 2006. No one probably batted an eye. It just came out, and now I feel like it would be a thing to have this movie released.
Can you imagine if that was released today?
So I don't know. And the movie was pretty forward thinking on a lot of the things, and they do talk about gender equality a lot.
Oh yeah, well, that also like stereotypical like gender norms as well, because like you have kind of the reverse where she is considered to be like unladylike, but it's just she is being who she is. And there's a similar thing with like Channing Tatum's character being a little bit more introspective and more sensitive, which is not typically like, it's not hyper masculine and what people consider like toxic masculinity.
And one of the like things in the movie, what did they call it when they get dressed up in a dress and then you go
a cotillion.
No, it was the
Junior League.
No.
Debutante.
Debutante.
Debutante. Yes.
I was close.
Yeah, when they're talking about debutante, and I remember my girlfriend kept rolling her eyes because she's like, "Oh my God, debutantes, how horrible." And I was like, "Do you want to like a pretty dress?" And like, "No." But that's not Amanda Bynes' character. She doesn't want to be a debutante. She wants to just play soccer with the.
Well, just in general
against the guys, but
I do remember there was a moment. The line I think was, "I have a strict no ruffles policy."
Yes, when her mom's putting up all the dresses and
which it makes me so. And I guess I don't have this experience with my growing up. We're like I didn't have a parent who was like trying to force me into something. So like this mom, like, she seems totally oblivious or unwilling to recognize that her daughter doesn't want to do this, and it said multiple times she doesn't like this,
Right.
and she's still trying to force her when she's. I mean, Amanda Bynes was 18 when she made this movie, but like she's, I think, like a freshman in high school, or maybe like a
Freshman or
junior,
sophomore, I
sophomore
think.
maybe.
Wow,
like
she's 18 when she made this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, so at that point in her life, like, her mom is still trying to force her into this. Like, can you, like, I just don't understand that mentality.
It's, well, also, like, I wish I could understand, like, and this is when I get too deep into the reality part of it, is like, when did her parents get divorced? Have they always been divorced?
That's a good
And
question.
then is like, this mom's coping mechanism is forcing this onto Amanda and wanting her to conform for her to have something to do? Because I don't think the mom worked.
I don't know. They're not. They don't explicitly say. I mean, they don't. Do they even see what the dad does?
No, I don't think so. But like, considering like her mom had this giant house, her dad had a giant house, and brother was sent to boarding school, I'm assuming they're pretty well off. So
Yeah, I mean, there are white people in a teen movie. They have to be rich.
well, yeah, that's true. Considering boarding school, by the way, is about $12,000 for a year. So
Oh yeah, you went to boarding school.
I
didn't
did go to
you?
boarding school. I went to boarding school in Missouri. So, and I played soccer. So this movie was like the movie of movies when it came out.
Well, I guess like the boarding school, like that whole part of it, I guess, confused me slightly. At the beginning of this film, I wasn't sure that they were in high school, because like when it got to
Yeah.
the part where where Amanda Bynes' character is transformed into her brother, and she goes there, and like there's dorm rooms. I'm like, that was not like, that's not my high school experience at all. So like that, I thought it was college. For
I
a
think
moment.
they were at a soccer thing though, like right? Weren't
What do you
they?
mean? No, this was school. So her brother got expelled from the previous school that she is at because he stopped showing up.
Right,
He stopped
right.
going to school, wasn't doing what he was supposed to, so he got expelled.
I
And so I
see.
think the only option was to send him to this boarding school because they're on the East Coast, aren't they? Or one
Probably.
of the
I'm not
coasts,
sure.
which is boarding schools very popular on the East Coast.
Hmm.
And
Eastern, Southern, or some Southern Eastern coast.
And it's
Yeah,
it's a co-ed boarding school, which is that typical?
yeah, that is typical. I went to a
Okay.
co-ed boarding school. There's just two separate dorms. There's a boys' dorm and a girls' dorm.
Okay.
But it's okay. They practice abstinence.
Sure.
That it was insanely impossible to sneak out of the dorms.
Well, I thought the overall movie was pretty funny and stuff. It was fine.
Yeah, like
Sydney, what was your overall thoughts on the film?
I just love this movie because it's just, some of it is so out there. You're like, what? Why? But I think the part that I love the most is the scene where they basically set Amanda's character up to be like the coolest guy on the face of the planet. Like all her chick friends come over like, oh,
okay.
Sebastian, why won't you call me? Blah, 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 blah. And he's turning down like one girl after another, and Tatum and I can't remember the other characters' names. They're like, bro, what is happening? And then finally the actual, like, Sebastian's actual girlfriend finds Amanda Bynes pretending to be Sebastian, and she's like running away from the actual girlfriend because she was not part of this plan, and it's just like,
Oh,
this
yeah.
chaos is just happening. And then by the end of that scene, like, Amanda Bynes' character is just like the height of cool. And then she finally starts getting into all these guys' psyches of, well, just have a conversation with her, just talk to her, like, don't just go up there and ask her out, that'll freak her out, like giving them all this crazy, like, actual amazing advice. And so I thought that's kind of my favorite turning point.
It was
of
a
the
pretty
movie.
funny.
Yeah.
It was a pretty funny scene, I will say. And like the person who played I think it's Monique, Alexandra Breckenridge, I think is who it is.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, she did a very good job of making me not like her.
Yes. A very good job. It kind of reminds me of like Mean Girls and the Plastics.
Yes.
bit.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
I do love Mean Girls.
Mean Girls is, we could have done
fantastic.
Mean Girls.
We could have, but is that I don't know if that's I think that's just a
Is
straight
that-
comedy. I don't know if
yeah,
it's a
I think it
rom-com.
is.
So I mean, there's that part of it. I mentioned it earlier. I don't know. I guess I'm a little disappointed. Like, I think it's okay. I think it's an okay movie. But I think, like, I mean, I didn't watch it till now, so I don't have those nostalgic goggles through seeing this film. And also, like, I think it feels to me like a Disney Channel movie in certain regards.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and I can definitely feel like it definitely feels early 2000s, just in the way like they're cutting certain things.
Definitely.
It very much
I
feels
also
that way.
it also stuck out to me because we watched The Fly for our review last time. We
Yeah.
talked about the clarity of the HD
Mhm.
on this, and this one being a newer movie had less clarity.
It did. It really did.
Had a more video,
Mhm.
digital vibe
Uh-huh.
feel to it, or I don't know if it was digital or not, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like they definitely could have left scenes out and it still would have been the same movie, like the her going to her friend asking for the transformation of the wig and things like that. And they do
That is
that.
very that is like straight out of Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh,
It
100%.
had to have been like the director must have seen that and been like, let's do
Oh,
that.
this
And like,
is-
why?
Let's put stupid mustaches on them when they know exactly who they're trying
Yeah.
to
I know. I had the
interpret.
same
I
thought. I was
didn't even
like,
think
why
of
is
that.
this even here? Also, why do they have like all these weird mustaches in like a salon?
Yes. And
Like-
how does she know this guy? Like,
Well, I assume like they must have,
why?
like he must have graduated earlier or something.
I don't know, because he's hanging out with all these high school girls. Like, is he an adult? Is he a high schooler?
I mean, I think it's hard to say. Either way,
I don't
like
know.
I hate to say like I don't want to say he's like the stereotypical like gay best friend because he doesn't
Yeah,
feel like that necessarily.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know, like it is kind of weird.
Mhm.
Like that scene could have definitely been taken out. I don't
Yeah.
think it was necessary. But like I wish. I kind of wish there was less of the love triangles, and I know that that's straight out of the Shakespeare part of it.
Mhm.
But like the main reason why she went to this school is because in the beginning of the film, her soccer team gets cut from her school, and so she wants to try and prove that she, a girl or a woman, is capable of playing soccer and is just as good as the guys, if not better. And like that that takes a complete back seat to everything else, unfortunately. And I think if the movie were more centered around that plot of her like going undercover as her brother to just be part of this school and like focusing more on, I don't know, I don't want to say like Mulan, but
Yeah.
What's funny is I said Mulan too, and while watching.
Did you really?
This was the first live action Mulan.
and like I would have preferred if they had just focused on that.
Yeah.
Not that again they have anything against romance. I just think this movie takes place over the course of 2 weeks, 14 days.
Yeah. I think the hard part I have with this, as you were saying, is like it feels like an afterthought. If this
really does.
whole gender swap thing just feels like an afterthought. They're like, oh, hey, we need to figure out a reason for her to gender swap.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just randomly throw this soccer game in here, and she breaks up with her boyfriend, and all these things happen, and then her brother's starting to be a rock star, but blah 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 blah. And it's just like a lot of it feels thrown away and just not like thoroughly thought through. Granted, this is still
Well, 'cause
Amanda Bynes kind of
yeah, this is-
Nickelodeon
this-
vibes.
This is
budget,
the
but-
Amanda Bynes vehicle where she gets
Yeah.
to make
Yeah.
weird faces, her Amanda Bynes faces, in
True.
in her best looking Zac Efron.
She does straight
makeup.
up
Does
look
look
like that guy from-
I was staring at her at the first scene where you kind of see her all dressed up, and I'm like, you look like a boy who has not hit puberty yet. Like the
Yeah.
baby face.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
they make note of that in the movie. They're like, "How old are you?"
That's true.
When she
They
first
probably-
enters the dorm
They
room.
probably
Yeah.
just got that out of the way. Like, okay, let's just
Yeah.
let's just recognize that this
Well, I
is
skipped a couple grids.
Because I mentioned while watching the movie to Alicia, I asked her if she had seen the movie White Chicks before.
I've seen
it's
scenes
like-
from it. I've never actually
I've never
watched the whole
watched it.
thing.
Oh, I wouldn't recommend it, but you probably should watch it because of how absolutely
I do love the
bonkers
Terry
it
Crews
is.
scene where he sings
Yeah.
the "Making My Way Downtown."
Yeah, that Terry Crews has a real hots for one of them in that movie.
Mm.
But that movie is like where the makeup and stuff is so bad. It's like
Ah.
you like they would not pass as actual white women in any place, like unless you think there's something wrong with them. And I kind
Uh-huh.
of thought that made me think of that because Amanda Bynes does not look like a male to me. Like it looks like a very boyish girl.
Yeah, I was gonna
maybe
say she looks more like 12.
Yeah.
yeah.
At that
I
point-
think it's less her what she looks gender wise and more her just age.
Yeah.
she just looks.
And that's because like
so
she doesn't, I mean,
young.
it's like she has like the fake sideburns, but she should have gone with more. Like at one point they do done like a soul patch. Like they could have done that, and kept that. Like that would have been fine. But like, I guess it didn't look like her brother, so there's that aspect of it.
Yeah.
There's one thing I want to talk about in this movie that like, I don't understand, and that is David Cross's character. So David Cross
Oh.
He's
is he's the
headmaster.
Yeah.
headmaster principal. How many jobs does he have at this school? Because like he's the principal, he's like a counselor almost,
And then
he's
he's the
also
lunch
like
lady.
he's a lunch lady. He's like beekeeping on campus. Like what? I know it's a boarding school, but like what?
That's an element that I think has some charm. I liked.
I mean, I like it. It's just weird.
They got David Cross to be in the movie,
So
which I
we're
don't
gonna,
think is necessarily a big deal for a movie in the mid 2000s, but
Mhm.
they wanted to make use of.
it's just so weird to me. I just don't understand what is his position. And then there's that other character who's like super in love with Olivia, creepily so.
Oh, the headgear gal.
Well, no, the guy who has the spider.
Like,
But also Headgear Girl, we should talk about.
yeah.
I
think Headgear Girl is my favorite, especially when like she's sitting on her bed with the cupcake
Yeah.
and just watching. him sleep.
like, that's something that's there's such a thing as too intense and like.
And then and then at the very end of the movie, and she's making out with what's his name,
I don't remember the
the
character
other
name.
best friend.
Yeah.
Which when I
And
was
it's
watching
just-
it, I was hoping that Headgear Girl found true love by the end of it, and she
And she
did.
did.
Like, I do like
Minus
that
the
they.
headgear.
I do like that she and the guy ended up together, like, because he mentioned like he thought she was interesting,
Yeah.
like, and that's great.
Well,
Like
and-
her character's just so
well,
intense.
Well, what was funny though too is like, because I think that one friend didn't like Headgear Girl
Oh, yeah.
until I think Sebastian, or was it Sebastian, suggested, well, she ain't that, like, put that.
Maybe so. That
She
nugget.
like just swayed him because now
Mhm.
Sebastian had the stature being cool. And
Oh
she was
yeah.
like, Headgear Girl ain't that bad. And then his whole mind changes.
Uh-huh.
Like he gets unshackled from the society, what
Norms.
society
Societal
expects
norms.
of him and his
Uh-huh.
little troop. And then he branches out to Headgear Girl.
Which,
I
like,
thought that was nice.
That was nice. I will say, like, I do
Even
like.
though she was pretty creepy in some moments.
Yeah.
Like I was fine for Headgear Girl, but there's some parts where
Well,
Headgear Girl came on a little too intense.
well, the part
even
like when
for me.
she's on the bench with Amanda Bynes' character, and like she has to put a binder between them because she's just like trying to make out with him. It was like back off. So I don't know, but I do like you talked about Amanda Bynes' character like trying to like give all this good advice to them, and like I do like that Channing Tatum's character who's like most people would see as like typical like hyper masculine like
His name's
buff
Duke
dude.
for crying out loud.
Yeah. Like he has this kind of more sensitive side, and it's nice to see him like be able to open up, and
Mhm.
like I do enjoy that part of it. What I don't totally buy is all these different people like actually falling in love by the end of the movie, especially because of that 2-week period. Like it's not
Yeah,
that's not long enough
true.
to. I mean, she did live with him for 2 weeks, but even so, like that just reminds me of Romeo and Juliet, which I don't like Romeo and Juliet. I hate
No?
it. It's not romantic. It's two people who are like preteens. Actually, I take it back. Juliet's a preteen. Romeo is a full-on teen who like she's a rebound chick for him. It's true. Have you read the play?
No, I have not.
She's a
Well,
rebound
I
chick.
think I did in high school, but
And like they make super rash decisions, and this like they barely know each other, and they proclaim they're in love. It's stupid. It's
Well,
not romantic.
Well, I mean, you see that a lot though with people who fall in love. Like certain people's mom maybe falls in love with somebody and gets married
within
within-
2 weeks.
within 2 weeks. So it happens, Tim. It does happen.
Okay, I mean,
but-
if
but-
it happens, but it's fine. Like I just
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
we haven't even really talked about Channing Tatum's character that
Yeah,
much.
That's
can,
true.
Can we? I would just like to note that I love the costuming for Channing Tatum's
you mean
character.
the lack of costuming.
Exactly, where it's just gray sweatpants and no shirt. The whole movie, pretty
mean,
much.
I won't argue. He's a good-looking guy. He's a good-looking guy.
I had asked my girlfriend if she liked Channing Tatum, and I didn't really hear her response to that. But then later, Channing Tatum was on screen without a shirt on, and she said, "He is so hot." I was like, "Well, that's what I wanted to know." Okay.
So you just got to walk around with no shirt and sweatpants. That's fine.
Gray sweatpants. It has to be gray sweatpants.
That's right. That's right. Well, like they do mention, like there was a moment in the film where like he's like, I don't understand. Like I just can't talk to women. He's like, and Amanda Bynes' character's like, why you're hot?
Yeah.
Which like
Or a male. guy, dude.
Which is funny because I think men maybe think, at least I have, about women who are like insecure and stuff. Like, why are you so insecure? You're hot. No,
Yeah.
that's just a thing. I mean, you get insecure about all kinds of reasons for all
I
kinds of
haven't had that
reasons.
experience. I have to rely on my winning personality.
They're like, well,
And
why?
the beard.
They'll be like, why are you so insecure, Tim? You're so jolly.
I'm so jolly all the time.
But what I did like about some of the things they kind of brought up is Amanda Bynes was as a guy, she was overcompensating being a
Yeah.
guy, and like she made the comment of like she wanted to know what girl he wanted to see naked. Or
Oh,
or
right. Like
something.
it was a
Like, it was like
well, they were having a serious conversation, and like she had to like pivot and like overcompensate by trying to be like so hyper masculine, and like it's kind of nice that like Channing Tatum's character is like, why do you do that? Like, there's more to someone than just like just seeing them naked, which is like, it's nice to see that. I do like that.
Yeah, so there were moments like that was kind of nice.
I will say, and like overall, there are a lot of like funny, memorable lines in this movie. I will say one of my favorites is probably from Monique, which is the "Girls with butts like mine do not talk to boys with faces like yours."
I wish I would have had that level of confidence.
You still can. There's time.
Well, not really, since. Well, I mean, I don't think I can just go up to my fiance and say, "Girls with butts like me don't talk to boys with your face or whatever."
Or do it and just see what happens.
Yeah. And the only thing that stuck out to me that I wanted to mention is Amanda Bynes' character. Viola is her name, right? So Viola gets into some predicaments where she's like, she's trying. For a while, she was trying to take a shower, and it didn't work out because the guys were always just around, and then she would just get out of there in the nick of time. But there was a period of time where Viola did not shower for a while.
Yeah, well, so she mentions like, I'm getting pretty rank.
And then they did this hazing of thing.
Oh yeah, that's another reason why I thought it was college. Because what high school level people do hazing?
Oh, we did.
You did?
Yeah. It was at our school. It was voluntary hazing. So what it was the reward of doing it was you got to pick a freshman, and so that you were paired with a freshman as a senior, and that freshman did your bidding. Again, it was volunteer. The freshmen weren't like to do this, and you weren't totally terrible with it. It was like picking up your lunch tray and putting it away. But it was like rolling down the hill in the mud, or we took our freshman out and we got like candy bars. I don't even remember what candy bars, melted them and made them look like poop, and then put them in the snow with some like green Gatorade and made it look like a dog pooped and peed in the snow and made him eat it. It's
interesting.
But then you got the fake poop mixed up with the
real poop, and then
so
you got a little hazy after that.
Did you have to go through the hazing?
I did, and I went because normally you go through it as a junior or as a senior, as a freshman. Jeez, I can't keep this straight. So normally,
take a year.
It's just every year is a new level of hazing.
But normally you go through it as a freshman, and since I came in as a junior, I had to do it with a freshman in order to be able to do it as a senior. So I did it with all the freshmen my junior year, and it was fun. But yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I guess I can see that for boarding school. I've never. That's just a weird experience to me. I want something that's interesting to me. I was looking into the trivia of this movie. Amanda Bynes did not play soccer before this. Apparently, like didn't know how.
That doesn't surprise me.
Know how.
Oh, of course. That's what I mean. Granted, that's what the.
I was wondering that because I don't know how much of the movie she's actually doing but I don't know. She kicked the ball a couple times fairly well. And I felt like, oh, that's good. That's better than me. Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of things about this movie that are interesting. I will say, like, there's that one. There's a couple of like just. I'm not gonna say out of nowhere, but like fights, like legit fights. There's the one at the debutante ball.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Or not the ball, but like the debutante thing.
Yeah.
Which I will say that was another thing that I was kind of let down by in this movie. At the end of the movie, there's the whole like debutante parade, and she ends up going through anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
it just doesn't fit in the storyline.
It doesn't.
Yeah, by that point, I was like ready for the movie to be over. The movie is fairly long. It is long. It's not a short movie because I finished it up after midnight, and I was I was hoping.
Yeah.
I didn't check the show runtime until when we started. But
What is the actual runtime?
145.
Okay, because like I think I paused it like halfway through and like, how long is this movie?
well, at least it felt. I guess it felt.
It did
long
feel
'cause
long.
It made its point after a while, and it was
Yeah.
like, but overall, I liked it. Channing Tatum's character was nice and
Mm.
good, and Amanda Bynes' faces were amusing to me.
Yeah, I will agree with that. Let's go ahead and get into the ranking of this movie.
Let's do that.
So I guess we'll start off. Sydney, so on our scale, we have avoid, meh, solid, great, and superb. Where would you rank this movie?
I would rate this as a great only because of Channing Tatum's gray sweatpants.
Wow, thank you, wardrobe.
Super objective there. Devin, how about you?
Let's see, what is our scale here?
Avoid, meh, solid, great, and superb.
I think it's solid. I think it's solid overall because I was chuckling a lot, and
Mhm.
I'm glad to know where that one meme comes from of Amanda Bynes lifting up her shirt.
Oh,
I
yeah.
forgot
I
about
had
that. We
I
haven't
had seen that
talked
a
about that.
Weird meme, knowing especially now that she was 18 when they made
Yeah.
that. But
And also, her brother
okay,
shows his dick. So, in the movie,
language, sir.
would you prefer me to be more clinical?
Yes.
He shows
Pen
his,
Island.
he shows his pen 5.
YouTube
Pen
might
15.
not like that, but I guess it's a solid. But it was a little bit wonky. I mean, it wasn't the best, but it was pretty funny, and I enjoyed most of it. It was a good ensemble of those. I guess at the time they were young actors, but Channing Tatum,
Yeah.
I don't view as a young. I don't think of as a young actor,
Not anymore.
like not as a child actor. I mean, he was,
Right,
he was
right.
super young in that movie.
Young
but
adult.
young adult.
Mhm.
There we go.
Which apparently Amanda Bynes had to fight to get him in the movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, he was probably doing all of the what are the dance movies?
Magic Mike.
No.
Isn't he in those?
He is.
but those came later.
Those
Oh.
came later. He did all of the gosh, I wish I could
Uh,
remember the
The
Step Up
Step Up.
movies.
Oh, okay. I've
Mhm.
only seen Bring It On.
Nope, Step Up. There's
The first Bring It On's
series
fun.
for that, so
Good. Glad you watched. Is he in Bring It On?
He is not. I'm not
Oh, okay.
not my
Well,
recollection.
you watched
Well, you said
it.
Step It Up, so it just reminded me of Bring
Yeah.
It On.
All right. Well, what's your review? Rating?
I think I'm gonna be similar to you. I think it's solid. It's okay. It didn't necessarily, like I said, vibe with me as much as other people. I think those who watched it when it came out and they were of a similar age group, I think it sits better with them as like a good like nostalgic memory. From a movie, like I think, like I said, I think the romantic subplot or the fact that the soccer element and like the gender equality side of that kind of got put into the back burner, that takes it down a peg for me. I was disappointed by that. I do think Amanda Bynes is funny in this movie. And, like I said earlier, I was a huge fan of the Amanda Show growing up, so it does allow her to kind of somewhat utilize her comedic talents, even though kind of boxed down a little bit, which I do think is also a little unfortunate. So it's fun. I don't know that I would necessarily recommend it. Like if someone were to say, give me a good rom-com, I don't know that I would say this one per se.
Yeah, I think there's better ones to actually recommend.
Yeah, I would agree.
But if you fall down, hit the remote out on your way to the couch,
Oh,
and it pops
no.
on, don't struggle that hard to change
Yeah,
it,
like-
I guess.
It is a fun time overall, but it just I wanted more. I kind of expected better.
Yep.
So I think that's my review. I would place it at solid.
All right, yeah. And I think that's probably good, doing it good for us on time. And
All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. So we are, of course, on YouTube and on Podbean. And if you want to see Sydney, she and Amber are doing their podcast, Silky Moms. You can find that on Twitter and TikTok and Facebook and YouTube, I think.
all the places.
All the places. So we will see you next time on Nerds Now Playing. See ya.